The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the host/guest and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any of BXR entities and those they represent.
Well. Welcome to this Tuesday's edition of Talk Lately, right here on BeExposedRadio.com. I hate that I'm feeling a little like this drowsy monotone in my voice because I shouldn't be tired. And I'm looking at Nate right now because I am tired, but I shouldn't be tired because I did have a nice full rest. But I found myself binge watching what they keep suggesting that I watch for the past, day and a half. What am I talking about, Nate? What's the show?
Oh, P-Valley.
P-Valley, yes. I've been binge watching it. So I didn't watch last night's episode, but I did see all the way up until episode 8 because I thought I asked you last week, was it over? And you said yes. And apparently there's still two more episodes.
You said that it was over. I kept telling you it wasn't.
Oh, yeah, because I wouldn't have watched it had I known. I thought it was only 8 episodes this season, and apparently there's 10. And now I have to wait for the last 2. But in the veins of P-Valley, because we in your show we was having the discussion about the show itself. It wasn't that sexually graphic to me as everybody has made it out to be. Like you would have thought you really would have thought you saw a penis going into behind.
No.
And that's not what you saw. Hold on, I want to get this screen off of here. And that's not what you saw at all. It wasn't that graphic where they were very sensual in the acting of it, but it wasn't like, even when they got into the straight up intercourse of it all, it moved on. The story moved on. Like, say for instance, the last one I saw, which was Autumn and the dude, when she pushed him on the bed and you saw the penis flip up. Yeah. You could tell it was a dildo, one, in his pants.
Well, you saw in the first season, you saw his penis.
Yeah, and so we didn't really need to see it again. So you can tell that's why it was so dark and in the space that when it boinged up and then she got on top of him, then they moved on with the story. It wasn't like really so like they was making it be. Even when Lil Murda and Big T.
Mm-hmm.
Which I kept saying it all along as I was watching it. They fuck before. They fuck. Them two had sex. They did. And then it come out, yeah. But what he didn't realize, and what I think Lil Murda was trying to kind of not articulate, because he didn't say it outright, but he was trying to make the motions that what happened with us in jail happened with us in jail. On the streets, it's not about us. We friends in the street, and in real life.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of sense that I got from them too. And then when
they were childhood friends, so that happened from them saying that they were childhood friends.
But I think it was more so teenage friends, because he didn't know about his trauma. He didn't know about Big T's trauma.
Right.
The fact that his mother killed the whole family, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That got me. They they didn't really dive deep into that, but that could have been a storyline in and of itself if he didn't, off himself. But him coming to, I wish they would have left. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell people how to tell their story, so I don't want to say. I just wish they would have, if he would have stayed around a little longer, we could have delved into his psyche a little bit, because we still don't really know what was the starter of his story. Why did his mother do all of that to him and his siblings?
He was a junkie.
I mean, but show that. They could have showed that graphically. That was an open storyline that they could have delved into maybe in season 3 if they would have kept him around. Or maybe they still might, because they're still part of Little Murder's storyline. It could still go back to when he met him, as a youth.
But and what I don't like about a lot of these shows that have these ground swelling support, they start doing things that don't make sense, or they start adding characters that, that they, kick off. Like if the Loretta Devine character dies, they're going to lose all of their older women that love watching it.
So I take it you saw last night's episode, because that's why you're saying that.
No, I'm just saying, but the fact to make her sick from COVID, I understand you're trying to, bring in the storyline of COVID-19 and how serious it is. But sometimes you need your characters to continue to tell stories. And it's not, you ain't gonna be able to keep adding strippers. You gotta be able to tell the story from a very authentic place. And I really think, just offing characters like that was, to get rid of Big Teeth was like crazy. Like, because you just gave him this whole space, and then
right, it was a lot to do with him in most of, and probably 2 or 3 episodes. He had a lot of top line characteristic in in like 3 episodes that could have carried his arc a little further. I just wish they would have, and like I said, we don't know whether or not they are going to carry that arc a little further. Just because he killed himself doesn't mean he might not be in future scenes and flashbacks.
I mean, it ain't very much so big, but you have to be careful with adding too much supernatural into things, because it gets kind of cartoonish.
Well, they already did that with the root
his
sewing.
mom is now a part of
that supernatural thing is already entered in there with the root sewing and the scale.
Yeah,
when he blew the stuff out.
Elements of it, but one, you don't want to keep playing with those things because they're real. So you gotta layer those things on, as it makes sense. Like Uncle Clifford's mom, who was deceased, is now
an angel.
Look like she's coming back in and out. The last episode, you see her in there. She's talking to him, and it's interesting, but don't get so far off the beaten path that it doesn't make sense anymore. And I think the biggest problem, one of the things that my buddy and I, George, we had the other show where we were talking about these movies. It really you can get to a point where you can tell that they don't think that this show is going to last for more 3 or 4 seasons. So they try to do everything they can to get all these stories out so it's memorable. Mm-hmm. But, if they focus on just the longevity of it, this could be a show that could last for 6 or 7 episodes. 6 or 7 seasons. But they don't be thinking that it's going to last that long, so they put everything.
So yeah, they got to put out as much content as possible.
Yeah, or they
find out if this is going to be their last go.
Right, every episode got 5 and 6 different stories. That's the soap operas.
Mm-hmm.
And we're building urban, modern day soap operas again, which is too much. It's too much. But I love the story is written well, but I don't want them to start throwing in everything, because they don't think that they're going to get a season 3 or season 4.
Mm-hmm.
Just be in the moment of it. That's all. I was
trying to think of one other poignant spot in the show that really took me off guard.
I like how they added in the abortion. Well, what is interesting, these things were shot over a year ago. So it's interesting that these things are folded into
that came
the
that
storyline.
came right, that they was on their mind at that time, and it made it into the conversation of today. That's a good point. And I think that was one of my things that I was looking at, because I liked how Mercedes wasn't trying to make the decision for her, even though she was pointing her in that direction by taking her to Jackson, but she wasn't making it about her and the fact that she was forced to give birth.
Right.
She she let her come to her own decision by telling her story, but by also it giving her some knowledge, get a different bit of knowledge base from a professional. She got it from a professional versus from
She gave her
just
both
her.
sides of it. She
Yeah,
gave her both
exactly.
sides of it. I like the option of choice because it didn't feel like you were promoting abortion. It
Right.
didn't feel like that.
She
But
had
it
to think
also didn't
on
feel
it
like
and
she
come
was
to the
condemning
decision
her.
herself on her own terms.
And that's how I would, and I've been in that situation with friends, and that's something that I would give, like, minus you being a mother, minus the boyfriend, minus, her stepmom, like all those, what is it that you want? And I think if people start realizing it's a person's individual choice. Now, I'm still a person that thinks that not necessarily the father needs direct input, but I don't like when these scenarios come up. It's never a father in the picture. Like, whenever abortion is mentioned on a TV platform, the father is never available or never seen or heard or given a voice in the matter. Not that it's his ultimate choice, but I don't like how that sounds, because most times when I saw abortions, it wasn't necessarily because there wasn't a father involved. It was because they were doing whatever they was doing and did not want a child in that moment. So yeah, but I liked how they added that issue into it. But it just feel like they just trying to cram everything in at the last minute.
Yeah, because it seemed like what they were trying to do with that decision-making process is like when Mercedes asked her, um, did the father want the baby? And
Right.
she said, yeah, he's ready to start a family. And then I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, he may want that, but he's still 14.
But that's the option that's in front of them. And that's not a new I hate how older people are making this seem like it's a new thing. It's not a new thing. It's just more accessible for healthier uh and it is a healthier thing now. You can still die from it, but it's not in somebody's hotel room with a coat hanger. So it's healthier, it's safer, and it's more accessible. But this is not a new thing, and you're not gonna keep making it seem like this abortion thing is this young people generation.
Mm. Well, that's true. It's not a new thing. All right, let's move on. P Valley. What time is it? Come on, Sundays at what?
Oh, I have no idea because I never
Okay.
watch it when it comes
Sundays on, I think, Showtime or Stars. I don't even know what network it come on.
on. I think it is Stars, but I think it's on two different networks, I believe. You can watch it because I typically watch it late on Sunday when I've settled down for the week. I watch it then.
We both don't apparently watch it on the stations that they're supposed to be watching it on. So that's
Well, I'm paying for my subscription. Let me just make that
okay.
clear.
Okay, good for you.
It's no freebies over here. I wish,
Good
but
for you.
well, actually, I share my subscriptions with someone.
Okay. Is that legal?
It is. It is. Dude, as much as I be paying for them damn things, I might as well just get cable.
True. So Mystical, the rapper Mystical from the 90s, is accused of rape again in Louisiana. So he's back behind bars. I think he's been in there since over the weekend. The rapper was booked and processed on Sunday on first-degree rape charges as well as charges related to domestic abuse, battery by strangulation, false imprisonment, and property damages. Okay.
I'm gonna be quick.
All right. Sorry, let me move this over.
It's supposed to be here at 7.
So it says we're told that no bond has been set. So this was over the weekend. So this by now, hopefully he's got a bond. And for what allegedly happened to spur this latest arrest, the sheriff says their deputies responded to a hospital over a reported sexual assault and interviewed the alleged victim themselves. Based on the interview and apparent minor injuries the cops said the person sustained, they felt there was enough there to go pick up Mystical and slap the cuffs on him. The investigation is still ongoing. By the way, Mystical has faced similar allegations in the past, including somewhat recently. You'll recall he was charged with rape in the same state back in 2017, but beat the case when the charges were dropped for lack of evidence. It's starting to become serial for him. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing in your downtime that it takes all of this as a, a relatively famous, maybe D-list rap artist to actually have to engage in taking something from somebody else to feel good? I don't know if that's like a growing up type situation where you inherently just use yourself as this person that likes to take things from others sexually. If you want to comment on any of our stories tonight, our phone lines are open at 443-642-9403. That's 443-642-9403. You can text us as well on that number. I'm trying to keep my spirits up, even though Nate just walked away for a second. But I'm still perplexed with this story because I want to believe that this is not the case, and maybe they just had a domestic dispute and everything will be all fine and dandy once it all comes out. But he has a pattern. There's a pattern here where he is clearly, for lack of a better word, he has a problem, and I just don't know where we're going to see this go out. I mean, like, the only place we can see him go next is to prison, right? Nate's back.
I would, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I would say the one thing that I'm worried about, and I'm not saying all of these men are being falsely accused. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that this isn't a problem. It hasn't been. I'm not saying it hasn't been a problem. But I'm a little worried that there's a system being set up where if I regret having sex with you, it's rape. Or if I'm trying to make, I want to be famous, so I want to be on this show, then it's rape. Or
you didn't give me the money.
What I want,
right?
If I didn't get what I want,
exactly,
from you, then it's rape. I am very concerned with that as a Black man, as just a person, not about myself, but it could be anybody can say you raped me, and I have to prove that I'm innocent. And even when I prove that I'm innocent, the stigma of me being a rapist is still out there. You can't take that back. And many of these women don't show up in court for whatever reason, whether they've been intimidated by his crowd or his fans, but he's been in this situation before. And it
just recently, 2017.
Right. He just got out. He just got out.
Prior to that, he had just got out of prison. Correct.
So it really just it's uncomfortable to me that these things are just left uninvestigated, or there's no, like with Johnny Depp, it was put on a public display, and her allegations were raked over the coal, and we realized she's not telling the truth about this, or there may be other motives. But when it happens to Black men, they're guilty, case closed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing ever beyond that. And I know a lot of women who watch this show is going to look at me like they've been looking at me, but I have that perspective, and I'll continue to say, because I've witnessed two uncles be accused of rape, different situations, totally different times, and both women knowingly lied.
Mm-hmm.
Knowingly lied. One instance, there wasn't even any sexual contact happening, and she still accused him of raping her. And the other situation, because he would not pay her after the fact, because he didn't sign up for a prostitute.
Mm.
And she wanted payment after the fact. So it definitely, it makes me uncomfortable. I'm not saying whether Mystical was innocent or not. I'm just saying a lot of these scenarios seem very uncomfortable to me. And it's just uncomfortable. I don't know about any other people, men, women, anything, but it feels uncomfortable to me, because I can say you raped me. And there are plenty of accounts. I'm not going to bring up the R, but there's plenty of accounts of, look who's on the chopping block now. What's his name? The singer, the little young R&B singer. I think Keke Palmer and him had an incident at one point, but now
Neo?
No, not Neo. He's a singer. I cannot. He's from the DMV, and I can see his face, and I can't think of his name. Or Chris Brown.
Jay Holiday?
No, not Jay Holiday. We're not gonna wish the rape stories on people. I cannot think of his name though, but it's gonna come to me.
He's a singer from the DMV.
He's a singer from the DMV. Not Mario, but the other singer.
Bed singer?
Huh?
The one that sing Bed?
I'm gonna put you to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Okay, I can't remember his name right now either.
So,
Jamiro?
No, not Mario. And that's why I say it's not.
No, Jamiro.
No.
What's his name?
But anyway, so he's on the chopping block, and I'm wondering, where does the responsibility stop for the other person? Does it stop when they bring you into their hotel room?
That's Jay Holiday. No,
not Jay Holiday. I cannot think of. I think it's Panty Dropper, or I don't know, whatever his name is. But where does the responsibility stop for the other party? Rape is different. Rape is a different thing, where someone has pursued you and they overpower you and rape you. It's undeniable where fault lies in that. But when you put yourself in a situation where you've gone backstage, where you've gotten into there used to be limos, now they're SUVs, when you go out to the after party, when you go back to the hotel room with him and or all his buddies, at what point are you responsible? And that sounds so weird to me, as somebody who has been molested, who knows other people who have been both molested and or raped. It is weird to say it that way, but I'm unclear as to where the rape started.
Mm.
That's not the act of rape itself, but where did the rape start? Did it start when they let you backstage, or when they asked you to come backstage, or when they brought you to their car, or when they took you to the after party, or because in some of these cases you'll see the person texting back, or you've seen situations where you saw the person try to reach out to the person that they claim raped them for relationship type of incidents. And I'm just wondering, where did the line of rape start? Like, where did that start? Because at some point we're gonna have to train children not to do these things, or not put them in situations where these things could happen. Not blaming a parent or a guardian, but you took that child to that concert. You took them backstage. You let them go with the person.
That's why I'm kind of like, yeah, just because of his
Mhm.
2017, that he had this same exact kind of situation in 2017, it's kind of making me hesitant, because it's kind of like you probably knew that too. Not to blame the victim at all, but I'm just saying, devil's advocate here. If you knew the circumstances and the possible outcome of you dealing with this particular person, if he wasn't convicted and there wasn't enough evidence in that last case to convict him, so he was innocent, even still, we're not talking about, well, the charges were, let me go back to the charges again. The charges related to domestic abuse, battery by strangulation, false imprisonment, and property damage, and first-degree rape. To be charged with first-degree rape is to say that you actually went through with it and had sex.
Yeah.
I think that's what that is in the first degree.
And it to me, it becomes difficult in that situation to prove that you didn't do it, if you really are innocent, because you did have sex with the person.
Yeah, that's what had to have happened, that you had to commit the act of having sexual intercourse for it to be first-degree rape. And I'm going to verify that right now.
It feels uncomfortable to continue to be in a space where it's still so many unknowns. Like, how did y'all meet? Or how did, and many people say that's not important. She was raped. But it matters what if that person is innocent of it? It does matter.
Yes, they say, okay, first-degree rape is the non-consensual sexual penetration typically committed by threat of harm or force. That would be first-degree rape. So clearly, when this young lady was in the hospital, she told the sheriffs that she had reported sexual assault and was in. They say that she sustained minor injuries, but they felt as though there was enough to charge Mystical with first-degree rape.
Yeah. That's the part that is uncomfortable to me, and it just
Uncomfortable for me too. And I'm the one, I read the story before I even got on air, and was still like, wow, again. Like, I think I would be, after going through it the first time, I would try my hardest to never be put in that situation again. I would make sure there was contracts available or some kind of signed thing that says that you are successfully asking me to have sex with you. And, that's how this is going to go from now on until I, find myself in a committed relationship. And then, even then after, because most people can't keep their things in their pants, even after they find themselves in a committed relationship, I still would have that agreement available. I mean, not to try to skate through anything, but to cover yourself from even if this isn't true. If this isn't true, that document would have covered you from this accusation.
But we have seen in the last few years those same documents be contested after the fact because I was forced to sign it.
Now, if they witness,
forced to sign it afterwards, or
now if they witness, I would have witnesses by several people come out the room and like, can somebody sign this document? This chick want me to have sex with her, and I need somebody to back this up that she's not being raped.
Yeah, but that and at one point that was enough. But now you're having people saying they were forced to do it. It was a bunch of people in the house. Those witnesses were just as ferocious and forcing me to sign it as this individual was. Or this couple. Look at T.I. and Tiny. They were forced to do it. They had them sign something. That's why we didn't hear anything from any of the other people. We heard something from this third party that was supposed to be the booking agent for them. But it's, that's the part that worries me. Even getting written, signatures on stuff, it doesn't equate. And it shouldn't. And I'm not saying those things should be ironclad, because you could have a situation where I've signed an NDA and then I rape you. So really you got to shut up about it and take this payout. But do payouts automatically mean I did it? I might have a big project coming out and I need this to be hushed. I don't want this on me, because anything of rape or molestation or sexual assault is deemed ironclad. It happened, that's it. Public opinion speaks, no matter what the court documents show. So I want guys to keep themselves out of this situation, because there are more than enough hoes that are willing to give it up to you for nothing, probably. You may not want them, they may not be hot to you, but you won't end up in the penitentiary.
That's the most important part, is not to end up in there.
And even for the young ladies, there has to be something where you're not, and young men too, because young men are going through the same thing. Stop being enticed by the glitz and the glam. Because if what you're saying is true, you walked through that door thinking you was going to what? Get a marriage proposal from Mystical? Like, what was your intention in being there if it wasn't to have sex? Like, what were you there for? And that's the question. Those are the questions that I don't ever hear being asked or answered.
Yeah, what were you looking for to have yourself in this situation? Not that rape is like a given, but you came into the situation looking for what?
Right.
Thinking that he was going to like pick you up and you were going to be the main girl. I never, trying to delve into that kind of psyche.
I mean, they keep saying, like for the R, I'm not even going to say his whole name. Like he would promise them music careers. That's not how you audition for a music career, by taking your clothes off.
That's true.
So
that right there is the truth.
Do you want fame the easy way, or do you want it the hard way? There are plenty of people who have said they've had to walk away from things because they were being offered this. There are a lot of men that are saying that now. But there are a lot that still went through with it. Yes. There are a lot of allegations out there, and you have to want this. I mean, yeah, you have to want it, and you have to want it the route of hard work. It's no easy way to it. Nobody has ever had an easy way to it. It's either been a hard decision, or I have to move somewhere, or I have to give up something, I have to do something more. It's never been, and it's probably people who have made it because they slept with people.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of them.
Right, that self-respect thing will follow you. So
that's true. All right, Mystical, good luck. And to the young lady that's having to deal with this, good luck to you too. But Shakira, y'all know her, that don't lie. Hips don't lie. I can't think like her. She can't either. But Shakira is facing an 8-year prison sentence, which is so surprising, because this girl always seems like she's such a goody girl. Like all she do is shake her hips and that's it. But
well, that's what probably all she was doing in this case.
Prosecutors in Spain, of all places, because I thought she was actually like from Central America, but this, I don't know if this is where she's from, where she's just living in Spain. But the prosecutors,
it's wherever your work is. So she was working there.
And she's living here now. That's why she has to pay all this money. That's why she's facing all this time in jail, because of taxes in Spain. It says if a jury convicts the Hips Don't Lie singer for bilking the government out of $15 million in taxes, they'll ask the judge to throw the book at her and give her 8 years and 2 months behind bars. Shakira is being prosecuted for tax fraud, accused of paying Zippo zero in taxes between 2012 and 2014, during which she allegedly spent more than half the year in the country. And it says, but that's why I say it seems so surprising, because if she's already done her tax returns, the tax returns would have concluded that she did not live in that particular state for that long to owe that much in taxes. And she got accountants and tax preparers and all that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, but
it's so crazy that
there are two things. So if you ever work internationally, you have to get permission first. So for her it's gonna, they're gonna have to determine was she there for a greater portion of the year or for a certain portion.
But that's my point, right? So that would have been fixed, that would have been looked at and even determined at the point of filing those taxes. So when I say that, I'm saying that because one of the main questions in the questionnaire of a tax return is, did you live in a particular country, especially if you're doing it for US, did you live in the US for more than 6 months? Or did you live in a particular state for more than 6 months?
She may have had like a residency or a string of, because Spain is huge, she may have had a string of concerts where she may have technically not lived there, but maybe lived out of Airbnbs or hotels for a certain period of time because she was back and forth.
But, well, it seems like, but that's why I'm really getting to this point right here, because it seems like this is a frivolous case that's just being brought to put them in the spotlight. Because here's what the rep says: Shakira has always cooperated and abided by the laws, demonstrating impeccable conduct as an individual and a taxpayer, and faithfully following the counsel of PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is her firm that handles all of her business, a prestigious and globally recognized tax firm. They continue and says, unfortunately, the Spanish tax office, which loses 1 out of 2 lawsuits, so they got a 50% record basically, with its taxpayers, continues to violate her rights and pursue yet another baseless case. Shakira is confident that that her innocence will be proven by the end of the judicial process.
Mm-hmm.
It says authorities that are out for blood. In addition to prison time, they want her to cough up to $15 million in unpaid taxes, plus a whopping $24 million in fines. Now, the issue that I'm having with this is that this is 2022. And if she owed you for 2012 and 2014, you have waited almost a decade to talk about this.
I mean, well, that could be very much. You know how audits go. Like,
I do know how audits go. That's exactly why I'm saying this. Audits usually happen, and particularly for millions of dollars, it would not take 10 years to do it.
Well, it does happen sometimes. We just heard from Steve Harvey. Over the course, I think it was 7 or 10 years, his financial lawyer was, I think what he was doing was, so if he would send Steve Harvey the bill for whatever that year was, Steve Harvey would write a check. Because this person had access to his funds, he would take that amount out of the bank. And all Steve Harvey saw was that amount had been taken out of the bank.
Right, but that's not comparing the same thing. This is taxes versus bank transactions.
That went on for 10 years. So we don't know if it was someone stealing from her or she evaded them because she didn't live there. They couldn't catch up with her. So now they had to make it public so she would pay. Like, it's a number of things, but
right, but see, I still call fault to that because this is a lawsuit. Whether you could get in contact with her or not, you could have got in contact with Pricewaterhouse that filed her tax returns and would have signed at the bottom of that tax return that they filed this on her behalf. So that's I'm calling bullshit on that too.
Once it gets into court, then they do that. But other than that,
but again, once it got into court,
because
you can't even use the pandemic as an excuse for this, because this, again, we're talking about 2012 and 2014, and the fact that it's 2022, and she's an international superstar, so it would not be hard to actually get to her.
But that's why I use the example of Steve Harvey, because over those 10 years, I think it was 7 or 10 years, that the man was skimming the money. Steve Harvey had no choice. It just, at the end of those 7 years, they said, "Hey, this is what you owe."
Mm-hmm.
Like, because the man had passed away. That's the only reason he figured it out, that he owed that money. But situations with a lot of celebrities happen like that because they have other people handling their financial affairs and they're not the person signing off on every check. This
Mm-hmm.
happens. So we don't know whether it was a case of her not knowing or just.
But see, that's why, again, I say I don't think this is in the same vein as that one, because it can't be the particulars of not knowing when you have all of your stuff directed to a firm like Price Waterhouse Cooper.
But somebody
They
could have been
handle all of her
stealing.
business, so they would have known she had business in 2012 and through 2014 with a particular country, and the fact that she may have lived there because they would have been paying the bills for her.
But
So
what
it's
if somebody
kind of
was
weird
stealing
that
though?
we're talking about this in 2012, about 2012, like I mean in 2022, about 2012 and 2014,
But
and then
what
the
if
fact that
somebody
she
was
must have
stealing?
apparently filed a tax return with them, period, for them to even track that she had taxes to do.
But what if? That don't mean she paid the taxes. You can file your taxes, but did
I
you pay
agree.
them?
That doesn't mean she paid the taxes. What I'm saying is that she's saying that Price Waterhouse Cooper did file taxes for her at
So
that
they took,
particular time.
which means what she's saying, they took the money out. That's why I was using that example for
But she
Steve
paid the
Harvey.
money. She would have to pay the money.
Right.
They would have
But
paid the
she,
money on
but
her
like
behalf.
Steve Harvey said, Steve Harvey was writing the checks. When his lawyer, whoever that man was, when he died, his assistant found the pile of checks sitting
Mm-hmm.
on his floor where they had never been paid. So he
Mm-hmm.
was the attorney was taking the money out of his account, and Steve Harvey, not doing all his due diligence, just saw the amount each year or each month or every quarter, whatever he was paying it, being taken out. He didn't look and see, and that's probably what happened, because if she's saying, or her team is saying, she did these taxes, she paid for that. That means somebody at that clearinghouse or wherever that is took the money.
Well, here's what the one of her representatives said too. She said this is just pure vindictiveness, a violation of her basic rights. They say the singer has already paid what she owes in taxes plus $3 million in interest. The way the rep sees it, Shakira has fully abided by the law, demonstrating impeccable conduct as an individual and a taxpayer. She apparently was offered a settlement from prosecutors this week, but turned it down. It's unclear the terms of the proposed settlement. Instead, Shakira elected to take her chances at trial. A trial
Well,
date hasn't been set.
that sounds like they're trying to either, say she owed more money, or they're trying to say
That's what
she worked and
exactly. That's the
didn't.
point, right? Because she said she paid the taxes that she was owed. That was owed
So
plus
how much
three
did you
million
make,
dollars in
baby?
interest.
How much
Plus
did you
three
make to owe that amount?
plus $3 million in interest though. So they got
Yeah, but
banked.
if they said she owed 15 million and the fees were 24 million.
Right. No, the fine. They want to fine her 24 million.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The fees were 24 million, and that's almost twice as much as the damn bill was.
Exactly. So they're looking for $39 million, basically.
Yeah, they're just trying to extort her.
Well, good luck with this, Shakira, because I feel for you. I do believe that you probably are going to win this case, especially if you have the tax bill that you paid. And again, this is a decade later, so I'm sure that $15 million that they're trying to quote you as owing also has interest in it. Of course, they waited to the interest to build up to $15 million before they filed lawsuit versus contacting the taxpayer directly, which is
Right. So that's what they
stupid in
do, and
itself.
that's what
Because she
happens.
can win if she wins her countersuit. You now have to pay her back
But see, this what
and her
happens.
legal fees.
But see what happens in these situations where they claim they didn't. They just trying to, like you said, make that bill as big as possible. But at the same time, if it was on the hands of her financial team, she's still on the hook for that. So if they
Well,
didn't do her
actually,
taxes
no.
properly.
Well, I don't know about international law, but here, a percentage of it would have to go to your tax preparer because they are insured for that particular purpose to make sure that your taxes are done correctly and it is your job to make sure all your notices are given to them.
But see, that's why I brought up, because I believe, I guess that's California law, because that's where Steve Harvey is. That's not how they handled it. He was on the hook for all that money, plus whatever the interest is. That's why we saw him so much in the last like 10, 12 years, because he was paying off that debt. That's why he had all these multiple shows and trying to pay it off. Well, that was his story. So it could have been more into it, or they, like you said, they could have been on the hook, the company, for paying a portion of that. But
all right, for the next 15 minutes, I want to run through all this Beyonce crap and just get it out of the way real quick, because I've talked about this off air a lot over the past week, and I'm kind of drained on the whole entire Beyonce situation. It's going to be #1 on the Billboard this week. Of course, we already knew that was going to happen, and let's just move on. All right, so let's run through this one
before I just disappear.
And the first thing I want to talk about is that just like Lizzo, she's going to remove the word spaz from the song Heated on the Renaissance album. So Beyonce is removing the offensive term for disabled people from the new song on her record Renaissance, just weeks after rapper Lizzo also changed the lyric and removed the same word from her song. The word not you all right, so this is what the reasoning is behind that word. The word not used internationally in a harmful way will be replaced, a spokesperson for Beyonce wrote in a statement to the Associated Press. The song Heated, which is co-written by Canadian rapper Drake, among several others, uses the word spaz, which is considered a derogatory reference to the medical term spastic dysplasia, a form of cerebral palsy.
It's getting on my nerves.
I said the same thing. I mean, because here in the U.S., spaz means something totally, they use spaz as something totally different against, not with the same inference to spastic as they're saying here.
Y'all wonder why these celebrities act like asses toward y'all when they see you, when y'all see them in public. This is why. How long had that word been used? I mean, every TV show, music video, everything that uses the word spaz out has to now be changed.
It's like that word, the word has the same power as the word nigger.
And it doesn't at the same time, because that word has not been replaced by nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
That's what it just makes me think about that. Yeah. It has that same underlying denotation to that word.
I can't say chink or oriental or none of those words, but I can say nigga all I want to.
Mm-hmm. Well, you should be able to. No one else should.
But culturally, other cultures can say that word and nothing be done. But if we use one of those other Jewish or Asian derived words, we about to be canceled.
Well, that's not true. Most people can't say the N-word and get away with it.
Now they can.
Right.
But that's literally been in the last few years.
I would give it maybe 2 decades, because that's
2
why
decades?
because that's why I can't remember his name right now, but he was one of the top radio personalities in the New York market. Oh my God, what is his name? He was next to Howard Stern in one of the top markets in radio. And he said the word on one of his shows, and that's why he got canceled.
Well, he said nappy-headed hoes. That's the man.
Something in that regard, yeah. I know, yeah, it was that. That is what he said. No, not the same thing. But all right, moving on. Let's move on. So now, if the police did all of this stuff to make sure she was recognized for her work.
I gotta watch that video clip, because I never watched it.
Which one? Khalees?
Yeah, if I'm going live.
And she did all of that to be trying to be relevant, to make her. I think it was supposed to make herself feel relevant. Like some people, Cable, Cable did a live the other day talking about Beyonce album and the fact that he he's not a fan or whatever. And I was listening to him.
Now
and
look her now. They said something about Brandy.
You're right. But he was saying something to the effect that Khalees she's still relevant. She's still relevant overseas. Overseas don't matter when you at home.
But her relevancy is not the factor here. It's whether Beyonce legally did what she was supposed to do.
Right. And and I think we all can come to the the conclusion that Beyonce did everything she was supposed to do. Now, her saying that Beyonce could have reached out to her, that's you clout chasing. You want that girl to talk to you so bad that you are willing to throw everything at the screen to try to make her get your attention. And what ended up happening is it backfired because now she removed your references and your credit from her album.
And she removed anybody else from wanting to use your music.
Exactly.
So now you get no royalties.
Nothing at all. You get no benefits out of this. And what this could have done for you, if you would have been a different person versus trying to call somebody a thief, because no one stole anything from you, but you kept referencing that word thief, that something was stolen from you, to the point that people started to believe you and then had to get schooled on that you didn't even own your own music. And you had a decade or two to buy your music back from the Neptunes. It's not it's not up for sale.
I mean, we hear this from artists all the time. I remember Kaya.
No, the reason why I say that is because this is basically answering Harris or Cable's what he said about her being successful overseas. You're so successful overseas, why you ain't buy your music back so you could have stayed successful even here?
Because the publishing company is here.
It don't matter overseas. You can play and basically you only can play and sing Milkshake probably overseas. I've never seen you perform it here.
Because Milkshake is the same as My Neck, My Back. It's the same caliber. But at the same time, I understand what she was saying, but she knew what she was doing, attacking Beyonce, because many people have tried to allege that Beyonce don't pay people.
But why go that route? Why not go to the source? Like you couldn't call your ex-husband, Nas, hey, can you call Jay-Z and ask him if I can have a word with Beyonce, yada, yada, yada.
But she probably didn't. She probably didn't say that.
That's what I'm saying. Why didn't she? Why she had to go so public with it as if it was something?
Because many of those people probably don't mess with her. They probably don't mess. The Neptunes probably don't mess with her. After all the rape and not rape, she didn't say he raped her. She said he beat her ass. He beat her ass. You can't talk to your husband probably without your attorney being present. You can't go to Beyonce because you probably been an ass to her already, and even putting her out there like her album about to, I'm sure how much money Beyonce had to pay to get that taken off.
Mm-hmm. Right, because she had to basically remaster a song. It was already mastered. She had to remaster a song.
Right, and that she already had paid for. So if Beyonce was petty, she would have sued the shit out of her for defamation.
For defamation, exactly. Why you keep? Because that was the whole thing. Like, why you keep claiming that I stole from you? I didn't steal anything from you. I bought this from the people that own the record.
Like they just
and then I did the thing that I didn't have to do, which was give you credit for it.
And at the end of the day, what's probably gonna piss Beyonce off even more and make your name mud, you gonna still get paid from this. Because she still used it. Now you just don't get credit.
Well, she probably won't get paid. She won't get paid. No, actually, she won't get paid. She's not gonna make a dime off of that song because she had no rights to it. She owns nothing about it.
No, well the thing is, she'll still get because she still wrote the song.
No, she did not.
Yeah.
No, the
She doesn't own her
Neptunes,
masters
the
to the song.
Neptunes wrote and produced.
But I'm sure her name is on there. I'm sure her name is on there.
Performer. She's on there as the performer.
I don't, because I could have sworn she wrote that song.
It says the Neptunes wrote and produced.
Oh, that's her stupidity. So she said she wrote that song. Oh, excuse me.
That's why she didn't get no writing credits for it. That's why she didn't know it was even being used, because she don't have no rights to the song.
But typically,
somebody told her that she was in the song. That's why it took her to. She didn't find out that the song was being used after the album was put out.
Let me see, because I could have thought you had brighter on that.
Not on that particular song though. That on the other ones, yes.
Okay.
All right, so let's because I think this is the last thing I have for the Beyonce saga. And that's to address Diane Warren, which is she's one of the most gifted ballad songwriters there is. And I give her that credit because I do like the songs that she
okay.
But she's never, come to find out, she's never even won a Grammy, not air one of her songs. She's been nominated 13 times and not have not won one.
And that's what makes her okay, because every song that she wrote, the singer got an award for it, and she didn't.
Well, no.
Many of those songs, so she wrote songs for Aretha Franklin. She wrote songs for Whitney Houston. She wrote songs for
Christina Aguilera. She wrote songs.
Celine Dion.
I think she wrote a song for Alicia Keys. She wrote a song for
she wrote plenty of songs.
Britney Spears.
Yep. And they all.
But none of those songs won awards.
Yes, they did. Many of those songs won awards for the artist, for the singer.
Right, but she would have run this if they win the award. The writer wins the award too, but she hasn't won none. That according to what I've got.
Yeah, but they typically won it for performance. One for performance.
Well, the reason why they the Beehive is chasing after her now is because she had the audacity to write a tweet that says, "How can there be 24 writers on a song?" It says, although the R&B icon insisted she intended no shade, Beyonce's self-appointed defense force wasn't taking any chances. It probably doesn't help that she added a rolling eye emoji, which is any long-term denizen of the World Wide Web can tell you is a universal symbol for shade.
Yeah, but just stay out of. Some people like her just stay out of stuff. Like you're trying to be relevant now. A lot of those performers of her caliber, they got Twitter fingers, and they got to insert themselves in conversations that have nothing to do with them. Did you write Milkshake, miss? You didn't write Milkshake.
I don't know why she even. I mean, she has to know that they were going to jump on her back, so she may have did it intentionally because she probably got a new song to come out that she wants somebody to say.
And a lot of times when it's that many contributors, that's producers trying to get a credit on the album. That's all the references. Like I kept saying, I think C.S. Madison's one of her catchphrases are in one of Beyonce's songs. Like all of them get a credit on that. They don't get the same percentage, but they all get a credit. Mind your business, Miss Lady. Go write a song.
All right, so all right, I'm done with the Beyonce thing. I just wanted to get that out. I'm exhausted because we had to talk about it, but moving on.
Police, like, girl, now you gotta go cook something.
Right. So the 15-year-old squeegee worker. He's facing 8 adult felony charges. And it could land him in prison for life for the killing of Timothy Reynolds. Now we're talking about the squeegee worker that I think they said 5 shots at this point. It was 5 shots off at the man that was wielding the bat on Lake Street and Conway here in Baltimore on July 7th. His attorneys were trying to get him to be tried in juvenile court, and it wasn't for a charge of first-degree murder, but something lower that would have kept him in juvenile court. But now he's being charged, like I said, with 8 felony charges that can land him in life in prison.
You know who I want to defend him? Marilyn Mosby.
Oh, well, she can't.
She can.
No, her job's not done. She's not out of office yet.
But she can. She can probably.
The election isn't even until November.
But she can do pro bono.
She cannot do that. She's still state's attorney.
She can go on.
Yes, in line and up in jail. Yeah, herself. She is state's attorney until April of next year.
Or Michelle Obama. She's a lawyer.
Yeah, but that would say that she has kept up with her certifications.
I would say that she probably has.
I would hope so. But more than likely not. She makes enough money off her books and speaking deals. So
But she probably has. She probably
I mean, she'll always be an attorney, but whether she's still bar certified is the question.
She's probably, I think if you haven't done it, I forgot what the lady said. But she's probably consulted on things as a lawyer, which will keep your thing going. I think you got to do something.
She'll have to continue with her continuing education and do the minimum credits every year.
I just want somebody with a big name to represent him.
Well, Warren Brown has a big name.
Yeah, he does. He hasn't had a big win streak either.
Besides settlements, because he always wins in his settlements. So
a settlement is not a win.
Yeah. I mean, well, it depends on how much money it is. It becomes a win.
Yeah, for him.
I mean, in the particular families too. The Gray family, that was a win.
Yeah, but he gonna get a percentage of that.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it depends on how much the win is to make it. I mean, how much the money is to make it a win. And that was a lot of money for the Gray family in particular. That made him.
It still wasn't enough, though. It still wasn't as much.
Yeah, I mean, for a life. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm keeping my eye on this case though, because I would like to see why. Because this. All right, here's what the prosecutors say about the. This is why I wanted to get your opinion on, because the prosecutors say the video shows 3 people surrounding Reynolds, which they don't have the video, so I can't show it to you guys. Someone threw a rock at him. She said Reynolds became disoriented and was walking away when he was killed, which means that wasn't self-defense. But this is without anybody else seeing this video to corroborate these claims. Mm-hmm. But right there, that graphic portion of it, they say 3 people were surrounding Reynolds. Someone threw a rock at him. But I wonder if the rock was being thrown in the midst of him waving the bat, because they said he swung this bat. He did swing the bat.
Right, but it's not whether you swung it or not. You got out of your car with it. And
right.
You walked towards these young people, and they're going to defend themselves.
Right. So the question still remains: what was the intent when you got out of your car with the bat? What was his intent? He's no longer here to tell us what his intent was, but the question still remains. You got out of your car with a bat where you do not live nowhere in this area, and you had a bat. What was your intent? Yeah. Your intent was to do harm with a bat, which gives them automatically the right to defend themselves. Whether you decided to walk away or not, that you already swung the bat in the fight. The fight's not over till it's over.
And rock fucked them up. Rock fucked them up.
Right. But if your intent wasn't just to swing at the one person that's being charged with these crimes, but at the group, and maybe one of the other ones threw the rock,
Yeah.
that doesn't stop or negate the fact that the other two that was within the party of three they still had the right to retaliate. I mean, not retaliate, to defend themselves. I'll use that word.
Against a bat.
Against a bat. Right. Whether you were disoriented or not, who knew you were disoriented? I don't know that is your functionality right now. All I'm concerned about is defending myself. You got disoriented by getting hit by a rock. I didn't throw the rock. I threw the bullet.
It's unfortunate because had he stayed his ass in that car, this wouldn't have happened.
It says WJZ has viewed the video. The only known image of the incident, it was recorded from a car's dashboard cam several vehicle lengths away from the incident. You can hear multiple gunshots. The suspect's lawyer, or the guy that's held right now, the 15-year-old, claims this was all in self-defense. He says, so his attorney, J. Wendell Gordon, says this case is very defensible. Someone wielding a bat is deadly force. Someone wielding a bat is deadly force.
Mm-hmm.
And I particularly agree with that.
I would wonder how many people he has, the deceased gentleman has on his team that are defending this and pushing this through the way that it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have to stop, like, everybody who has an attitude with these young people, I've noticed they've come to those intersections with an attitude about them. Like, you know that they're there, you drive up with an attitude, then you go on your social media and talk about how one of them just disrespected you.
Mm-hmm.
I've been at many intersections. I've been in a car many times. I've seen them, me walking through downtown in certain areas. I've never been disrespected by any of them. Even when I go home from my studio, I still have to walk past them. So often, many of them are pleasant. They speak to you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're somebody that's giving them money, they remember your faces.
That's what I say. And my experiences is with them, especially right here at
MLK and Washington Boulevard.
The one right there by the Rite Aid, the MLK right there by the Rite Aid. I always get stuck right there at that light on MLK and Howard Street.
Okay.
They are very pleasant. The kids right there, they be very pleasant. They be like, okay, hopefully you get me next time. I said, all right, and I hear them say that to every other car they go
even
to.
The one that's
somebody say they don't have it, or what most people, what I see, or at that particular stop right there, what I always see right there is when they tell them, no, thank you, you don't got to do my windows, but here, and they give them something anyway.
Yeah. And
that's what I normally see.
The one that's closer to you, that intersection that's closer to you. I normally, that's the one where I see them the most because I'm on my way to work out Cherry Hill, so I see them the most there. And that's one of the spaces where I'll see they're aggressive, but they're not disrespectful. I've never seen them get disrespectful or irate unless you initiate. I've heard people say, nigga, get your ass out the fucking street. So that's gonna make them retaliate.
Or show some kind of anger, right?
Right, like you can't just keep talking. Most of these are not children. And because of the situation that many of them in, you can't treat them like children. And you shouldn't be talking to a child that way.
Right.
Like it just is the venom. And it's normally the people that I see that look like us that have a problem with them were niggas out on the street themselves.
Before.
Or had problems with the law. Those are the people that I see with the bigger problems. That are the bigger problems that have so much to say. And I go after their neck every time and remind them of the rap sheet that they had. Because I don't have a problem with doing that. But it's this venom against them. And these white people in Baltimore, they have a privilege that they are standing on right now. I don't know where I guess the Superman energy from Trump got boosted into this DMV area because I've seen a total switch in how they talk to people now. I just see it. If you're in certain areas of the city, you see it. Like they are more vocal with their disrespect now. And it's ridiculous. So I hope that something is uncovered or somebody steps up and says something that defends this young man so he doesn't get the book thrown at him.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got out of your car. That was wrong.
Yeah, I seen somewhere was one of the comments on the thread that I was looking at earlier today. Somebody was saying, hopefully, all of these charges get kicked down. I mean, at least, I mean, if they're going to try to prosecute them to the fullest extent, anyway, that most of them get kicked down to lower charges like manslaughter. So this child, he's 15, so he can get out by at least by 25 years old. Because I don't think he did even. It's hard to say. I mean.
It's a hard thing to realize, especially realizing he's 15.
Mm-hmm.
That's he gonna miss that whole last portion of his transition into adulthood.
Yeah, and some people just don't understand that, because they try to use that age 15 as to say, why does this child have a gun? But you can't use that for everybody's circumstances because he lived in McCullough Homes or someplace like, you know what I'm saying? And that's not the same place as living where I live or we're living where you live. In McCullough Homes, it's a different environment.
Right.
Completely.
But why do you have a bat? Why do you have a bat in your car?
Why did you have a bat? Was you going to go play baseball or was you going to come and knock a nigga?
Because you definitely used it. You used it.
It was in your car for a reason.
And that's the problem that I had when they questioned the young man, but none of those questions, why did you get out of your car? And unfortunately, we can't answer any of have those questions answered, but why did he get out of his car? Mm-hmm. What was his intention? Why did he grab the bat? Why did he try to use the bat?
Right.
I don't know how to answer some of these questions, but
in downtown Baltimore, of all places. You thought you was gonna get out your car with a gun.
I've seen them at the harbor before.
But you thought you was gonna get out your car with a gun. I mean, just think about that for a second. That in downtown Baltimore, you thought you was gonna bring up this place that we always talk about the gun violence here. You was gonna bring a bat to that particular fight. I mean, just be smarter than. I mean, you live here. It's not like he's not from here. He was living in Hamden. He heard everything around. I mean, he hears everything that goes on around. Everything that happens around Hamden is more poignant to him than anybody else. Because he's surrounded by the 21215, the 21211, the 21217, 18. Huh?
This was in Hamden?
No, he lives in Hamden. Reynolds is from Hamden. They lived in Hamden. So they surrounded by the ghettos. So it don't make no particular sense why you thought it was going to be okay in the city that you was raised in to bring a bat to a gunfight.
Well, let's be real. Hamden ain't no...
No, I'm not saying that it's not above anybody else, but it's different than its surroundings.
Only by
what
color.
I'm getting at.
Only by color.
Only by color.
There's a whole lot of poverty.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm saying it's only difference by the color.
Yeah.
In its surrounding areas. Its surrounding areas is where the hot spots are, though. So you can't act like you don't know what happens here in this city, is what I was getting at.
I would say only Drew Hill and Park Heights, but the other areas surrounding them, that's not what that areas are. But there's a lot of poverty condensed into Hamden.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Hairspray was formed.
Right.
Yeah. So they not above it. And
that's what I'm saying, but they don't experience that amount, that particular kind of violence. They don't experience that on a day-to-day basis in that area, is what I was getting at.
Right.
But what you are not prone to is not seeing the news, and that is happening around you. So when you leave out of Hampton, you can't expect for outside of Hampton to be the same as inside of Hampton.
Well, the thing is, you can't act to people the same way that you do in Hampton, because there's a lot of racism.
That's my point. You can't bring a bat to a fight that was going to be another bat in Hampden, but outside of Hampden, it's not going to be a bat fight.
Because Hampden is very racist.
Right.
Very racist. Very much
we got to move on because after this, we got to go. I'm going to move on to my top story, and that is monkeypox.
Oh.
So goodbye, y'all. I'm not coming outside for a while.
Well, you go ahead and get deliveries.
You fools, I don't get it. I know, but that's not what the top story. It's not about monkeypox. The top story is about the reasoning behind monkeypox. It's what I have a problem with right today,
What is
because
that?
everybody's running with this notion now that what does it say? What does it say that all right, so this said that on this article in particular, I'm gonna use that. It says monkeypox, colon, why are gay and bisexual men more affected? Okay. Now, everybody has jumped on that bandwagon. Once WHO, the World Health Organization, put that out, they jumped on it and said it's happening to gay people more than it's happening to everybody else. It's happening to gay people. First of all, if they would have read their own research, it actually followed up behind what WHO said in their article. It would have said that this study is incomplete because they did it in what place? Africa. So when you talk about doing it in Africa, right?
Who has a big bias and hatred for gay people?
And also has a very big gay population that are typically the only people in Africa that are seeking medical treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how your study could have become biased, because if the only people that's in your medical office is gay people and no hetero people, then you only are going to get answers from gay people. That's why it's incomplete, because they did not have enough data to actually say that it was only going to gay people and people that have had sex with other men. That's why they started saying that, wait, that's not what we said. But everybody in media has ran with the fact that they said gay people are getting.
Well, they should have made that apparent. I don't know if they did or not in their study or their report of the study. Yeah, we studied or we researched this particular part of the country that has a very high population of homosexuality in this very condensed spot.
Like, because that's what my question was. So, because that's why I was like, all right, so my question to that was, are you trying to say that monkeypox is a sexually transmitted disease? They refused to answer that question to say yes. It's not.
That's what it was. That's what people are alluding to right now. That
exactly, because when you make that reference that it only happens to men having sex with other men, then you make that reference that it has to be sex involved.
Because that would mean that chickenpox is sexually transmitted, the cold sore is sexually transmitted. This is a problem that not bringing COVID into this. This is what I had a problem with in the beginning. Like, I think to some degree, the residents specifically of this country need to be left stupid because they put information out there and we're in a space where every little piece of information is dissected 100 times.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna read it. Let me read this paragraph in particular about this. It says monkeypox does not cause any deaths in Europe, but the disease is gaining ground with nearly 17,000 cases worldwide. The World Health Organization Director General, I can never say his name, but if you look him up, that's him, triggered the highest level alert of the monkeypox on July 23rd. The Santé Publique France has recorded 1,567 patients in the country since May, of whom 3% have required hospitalization. The epidemic differs from the waves observed so far in a dozen of African countries. Notably, in the profile of the patients, the cases are almost exclusively men, most of them males who have sex with males, known as MSM, in the scientific community. Now, then it goes on to say, the question is why MSM are overrepresented among the affected. First, it is important to keep in mind that the SPF figures are still incomplete. Mm-hmm. Screening is in its infancy and complicated by the fact that symptoms are non-specific. The virus behaves like a great imitator, like we were talking about in the beginning of the show. The virus behaves like a great imitator of herpes and syphilis.
Yes.
But that's where I drew when I got to that point, that's when I was like, you know what? It sounds just like the syphilis thing. Mm-hmm. You're now trying to blame a set of people in particular, because it was Black people at that time, for syphilis. Now you're trying to blame another set of people for this one. Okay. All right. Then it says that therefore it's easy to misdiagnose So the study is not even complete, but media, including CNN, one of my faves, has hopped on that gay people are getting this the most. And that's what they put out.
That's my problem with media. That's really one of the things I'm gonna talk about Friday too on my show. But it gets out of hand, and you're not even reporting factual information. It's not even if it was a study, it's still not factual information until they make a conclusion.
My point exactly, because why even put out this? Why even say this about it if you did not complete your study? And if you didn't have enough representation inside of it, because mind you, because you looked at that same video that I looked at, that girl didn't say she was in any kind of gay relationship, did she? The one that had that documented her days of having it.
No.
So she was a female. And I seen in the comments on the video, some people say, "Are we sure this is a female?" That's not funny, one. But
she even her account of it was misleading because she was putting it on homeless people.
mm-hmm.
She kept saying it's a big homeless population that come here. Are they the only ones that's buying gas? Like it was irresponsible of her to even pinpoint it to homeless people, which is very possible, but is inconclusive to say. Like
Exactly.
you cannot say that.
That's why I kept saying, you know what, I call bullshit on this. How you going to say that it's happening just because your subset of data, which is coming from Africa, one of the most obscure places for gay people, is your basis for saying that the world is only getting it because of gay people? That's not how diseases are passed.
Well, did they say no? They didn't say that about COVID, but COVID then turned into the black people disease.
Right. Just because we were dying in proportionally to others, but that was a healthcare issue, not a disease control issue.
And it was more behavioral because we have a tendency of not going to the hospital.
That is my point at saying this, because gay people have a higher designation for going to the hospital than heteros in the first place. Well, hetero males, not hetero women, but hetero males. Right. Gay people go to the doctors more often than hetero males. So that is only the reason why you got this study of this many cases, because they were going to the doctors. And they probably needed a refill on PrEP. They probably needed something else.
But
they found out
they had it. I was reading an article a couple months ago, and they were saying even if the same amount of black men, straight black men, go to the hospital as equal as gay men, the gay men will always be asked to be tested over the straight heterosexual. And I gotta find that article. But they'll be asked more. Do you want to be tested?
Right. And most of the time they say no, I'm not, that kind of situation.
Right.
Instead of finding out right then and there.
Right. And most of these clinics that are popping up are really research hubs. They're not really clinics because they're not really treating anybody, but they're just finding out all this data. And that's what I said.
Inside this study, so they say, in addition to the symptoms usually reported in the endemic areas, some patients suffer from new conditions such as angina and rectitis, which is the inflammation of the rectal mucosa. Mucosa.
But like I said, of those things is where.
So that's why I was like, but if this is a study inside of your results, how many of these people had rectitis? Why are you not telling us the percentage on that? If that was 90%, then I could say, okay,
why are they not
then I would agree with you that in this particular case subject, in this the sect of case study, that would have been the direct result of MSM. Yeah, male sexual sex with men.
Because it was the young lady that's in Atlanta. It was uncomfortable the way she was talking about it, because she was trying to make it seem like she got it from work.
Mm-hmm.
And the information that I know about any type of herpes forms, it typically, outside of chickenpox, of course, wherever it was infected, like the entry point of infection, is typically where you have the outbreaks at.
I mean, just to put that on gay people, it
not to
seems
say
absurd,
because it's
though.
around
It's just
her mouth.
absurd. Like gay people, the only one that's having intimacy. Y'all lonely bitches.
All these fucking babies that was
Right.
born over the last almost 3 years.
Like,
Everybody
you
I know
lonely
is
motherfuckers. Y'all not kissing each other. Only gay people are having intimacy and touching and feeling and stuff. That is some bullshit.
because I can clearly tell you this neighborhood that I live in is an okay neighborhood. But your man, you better come drive around this neighborhood if your man's out late and find him in this neighborhood. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, there is a question in this study that says, is monkeypox a sexually transmitted infection? It says, beyond the high risk of contamination attributed to close contact, the scientific community is closely monitoring. So again, incomplete, is closely monitoring the possible evolution of the virus into a sexually transmitted infection. Studies conducted in Italy and Germany have shown the presence of the virus in the seminal fluid of some patients, although scientists have not established its infectious nature. So although they found it in the sperm, they were not able to say that it was infectious, that if that would pass along, that it would infect somebody. But most gay people, if they're not on PrEP, are having sex in condoms. I hope.
That's what I hope.
It says the SPF data highlights another clue. 78% of patients have a genital anal rash. But see, oh, okay. Well, that's spelling out something.
Because that's the point of entry. That means the person who they had anal sex with, they had it and inserted in them, and now that's how it's transmitted.
Mm.
But that doesn't mean that that's the only way that it can be transmitted. It's
Exactly.
touch. If it's in a fluid, it could be transmitted. Obviously, if you touch somebody, it can go. If it's on the money, then you touch yourself. You got it.
But that's what my intention with dispelling that rumor is that to say that it's not just gay and gay and bi and anybody that has sex with a man that is transmitting this disease. That is a bald-faced lie, and this study was inconclusive. It was not complete. It was still studying, and it was only based on studies based in Africa, which again, like I said, disproportionately that more gay people go to the doctors than straight hetero men. So that in it of itself. And first of all, what do you have to be asking in the questionnaire? Like, I mean, how many people was truthful anyway to say they were gay in Africa?
Well, see, in certain places in Africa, they can't go to regular hospital because if it's seen that they are homosexual, it's still against the law. So they have a lot of private hospitals or secret hospitals that still treat them.
But that's my point. This wasn't a private hospital. This is somebody that did the analyzation of this and brought this incomplete data. But they took. But my problem was the media. That was my problem because the data actually says that it's incomplete.
Right. It's very irresponsible, and
it's very incorrect. It says the figures are still incomplete, and the media here in America ran with the narrative, our favorite word, the narrative that gay and bi men are getting this disease more than everybody, as if everybody hasn't been tested. We all probably have it at this point, just like how coronavirus spread.
But it's irresponsible because what it does is, like COVID, it made certain populations of people feel like they were safe.
But here's the interesting part, because I just read a new article the other day, and I'm just only going to paraphrase this because I don't have it in front of me right now, that said that it's probably true that 91% of America has already had coronavirus and just was asymptomatic and never knew any different.
Yeah, I can believe that.
And I can believe that. I can believe that now, that I probably have had it and just didn't never have any symptoms. And I'm terrified of, I'm not terrified. I want to find out. I want to get that test to see if I've ever had it and if I was asymptomatic, because I think we all should be getting studied.
Is there a test that can see if you ever had it?
The antigen test should tell you if you ever had it.
I feel like I said,
But
and
I've
I
never
never
been. I
forget.
haven't through this whole entire 3 years. I haven't been sick, so I couldn't
I don't
tell
know
you.
what we were. I don't know what election coverage we was watching, but it was you and I at the studio, and you had bought pizza.
That was during the 2016.
So that's what we were watching, and I remember I was having trouble swallowing the pizza, and it was odd. The next day, I was still eating normal, but I was having trouble swallowing.
Mhm.
And I just kept saying, what the fuck is wrong with me? I didn't feel sick. The next night, I think it was the night of my show. All of y'all had left, and I laid my head down on the table. Then I said, let me just lay down on this floor and let me get a couple winks, and then I'm gonna get up and go home. I woke up the next morning and I felt like something had fucked me up overnight. My head was hurting. All this mucus was in my throat. Uh, Blue came to pay his bill. Blue came to pay his bill, and he was walking into where my office was, and he stopped. And he turned around, and he'll tell you, he walked right the fuck back out and stayed in the lobby. And I was in the mirror trying to get myself together. That day, I went to the hospital. Ended up going to the hospital. They had to suck all this mucus out my throat, and my Money. I had never been admitted to a hospital ever in my life. I
Me
never had
either.
surgery, nothing. They
Me
kept
either.
me Friday, Saturday, and I left Sunday night. I've never been, and they still can't tell me. They tried to say it was strep throat. That didn't come back positive. They couldn't tell me what I had, or they didn't want to tell me what I had. So by the time I left
Thank
the
you,
hospital,
Naya. Naya Nasia.
yeah, but it was so that is a real thing. But I feel like that's when I got it. And now that people are telling me symptoms that they had, like it feels like a sinus infection or your throat. That was the thing that got me. I remember trying to suck down. I went downstairs before I went home and I got a slurp, the frozen coladas they had. And I could not suck it. And if I got it in my mouth, I could not, like it was hard getting it down. But they kept me because my throat had closed up. But I really feel like I had it. And that's the scary part because I was around other people. Because that was what, like October or something?
It was November 2016.
November. So it was
November 8th, my birthday.
November. So I always thought but it was around November because I went into the hospital for those 3 days.
It was November 8th, my birthday.
All day Friday, because I had to get somebody to cover my show that Friday. So it was that Thursday. Oh my God, that shit was so scary. So if that's what COVID was, I don't want that shit. Because I was hooked up to an IV for 3 days of my life. And I never wanted to do that shit again. But yeah, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. If I got to stay in the house for another 2 years, I'm good. I'm good.
One of these things, like people are asking this question, and I think this is a really good question to ask, though. For all of these decades, ever since monkeypox came out, monkeypox has been one of the most guarded and most heavily. I'm trying to look for the word because they said the word in here that I'm looking for. Controlled. I'll use that. That's a good word. Controlled. Affections. I think like almost ever created, ever discovered. And for it to have spread like this, who dropped the ball? I want to know that.
Was there a ball drop?
It was a ball drop because it says, all right, this is a different article than the one about the study. This one says, ever since the monkeypox started to sicken thousands of people worldwide this spring, two big questions have loomed. Why is a virus that has never managed to spread beyond a few cases outside Africa suddenly causing such a big global outbreak? Somebody slipped through that, or somebody took something out of one of the CDC centers around the control, one of their controlled specimens, and introduced it into society. That's what I'm figuring more so. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
It sounds
I
like
am
it.
figuring things, that somebody may have taken one of those little tubes. I'm just thinking because I've been watching
Or
Jurassic Park.
think about this.
I've been
All
watching
the
Jurassic
efforts,
Park lately, and those little tubes.
but think about it. All the efforts was being put on finding a cure for COVID, figuring out what COVID was. And a lot of other testing for everything else wasn't being done.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody was to travel and come back here, we wouldn't have known about it.
Right, but you definitely know if you was in one of those surrounded managed areas in Africa where they was trying to keep it contained and keep it from slipping into. They've been, like I said, they've been doing it for decades, keeping it contained in Africa, making sure it doesn't slip out and go out anywhere. Not unlike the Ebola virus when it slipped out of Africa and came here with those two people. They made sure they caught them two people and made sure they didn't transmit it more widely.
But there were a lot of things like syphilis jumped back up throughout this pandemic because things wasn't being watched the way it had been being watched or monitored because all hands were on deck for COVID.
Not Jurassic Park. But you know what I'm talking about. Remember in the very first Jurassic Park when he stole those the canister of different dinosaurs, but he didn't make it. They ended up never leaving the island, but he could have been, picture that being full of Ebola, monkeypox, coronavirus, and all of that, and then leaving the island and then exposing the world to this. That's my point. That's what I was getting at with that analogy. But that's what I'm saying. Imagine somebody make a mistake. Or, matter of fact, it could have been happening at the same place where they think coronavirus developed from in that China laboratory, that one of those monkeypox vials maybe slipped out of there.
In Wuhan.
Yeah, Wuhan, whatever, which one of it is. And they could have slipped out of there and then passed it along to somebody else. But again, monkeypox has a vaccine. It didn't make sense that it wasn't readily available to be distributed immediately.
But that goes towards a lot of other conspiracy theories. Why was it controlled so well? How was it controlled so well? Like it was one of those things where let's test this out.
Well, because I remember because monkeypox at one point was very deadly. It wasn't just that a super chicken pox out, but now it's not very deadly because there is a vaccine for it. But back then there wasn't a vaccine and it was very deadly, kind of like coronavirus. Now there is a vaccine and it shouldn't be deadly. If you make it to the hospital, you should be going home.
But they still have to monitor. And the health department is very scary in how they deal with it, but that's why they deal with it in that way because they don't want outbreaks. So they got to know all the.
I think I had Corona Light.
Oh,
nah.
I think we all did. Like there were plenty of people who was like my sinuses, but we didn't have a really harsh summers or heat wave. So for your sinuses to be flaring up and you in the house all day, you had Corona, baby. Them sore throats, it wasn't strep. This time, it was Corona.
Yeah, I just want them to stop passing this off as a gay disease because that's what it sounds like. Y'all trying to make this a gay disease.
So if it's not black, then it's gay.
She said it's monkeypox. Is monkeypox a spinoff of chickenpox? It's not a spinoff, but it has a very similar traits.
Mutation, yes. It sounds like
very similar traits to it, but it's more severe. It's more. I would call it more so super chickenpox. That's what I've been calling it. It's more like a super chickenpox because they have the same inflictions, but more severity given to
but it's the same thing because the chickenpox you can get a very mild form of it, or you can get like I did. I was in the house for a whole month, so I mean, you just treat it the same way. Like, do we all have to get monkeypox now? Like we all had to get chickenpox? I don't want what was around her mouth though. I don't want
was around her mouth.
That shit looked scary.
Oops, sorry, I lost you. There was a call coming in. If you call back, I'll answer.
Yeah, it was scary. It's been looking at it was scary. Like I had to force myself to look at it. I was like, I don't want that. Now,
Hello.
who said now?
Hello,
Hello.
is this Monny?
It is me.
Hey, this is Naya.
Hey, now turn your background down. I know you're trying to listen at the same time, but you can't.
Oh, my bad. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on?
Are you on the air?
And you are on the air.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I had Corona Light because I didn't have no symptoms.
I mean, did you have any symptoms? You didn't have
I
none.
gotta
So
put
you
my
had it
damn mask
No.
on to be on the show.
You had it
I didn't have.
asymptomatically.
Yeah, I didn't have no symptoms. They just said that first. They said they never said I was positive. They said that I was exposed.
Oh, right.
So
then
they never told me that I was positive. But then the the health department called me and was like, "Oh, you're positive. Your test came back and you're positive." So I'm like, "Okay," but I never had no
Oh.
symptoms. So I think I had Corona Light.
Well, I was just telling Nate that a new study had came out. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not going to quote it initially. But the number that they said is that maybe 91% of Americans have probably already had coronavirus and had it asymptomatically. 91%.
Yeah, I had it.
So 8% of us
I had
have
it like
not.
sometime last year.
May have, and I think I'm probably part of the 8%, but I'm giving myself the benefit.
How
Nate,
you
you
feeling
don't
right
take
now,
that
though?
off. I am good. That
How
was
you
last
feeling
year.
right now? How long has it been?
That was a while ago.
Yes, that was last year. Take it off.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Looking like you from the Middle East. Take it off.
I don't know, because when people start saying this, they get coronavirus. I get nervous.
Oh no, that was like beginning of last year. I'm good.
Okay.
I haven't had it. I do COVID test myself because I work for a company that does it, and I test myself every 2 weeks. I'm good.
Okay.
Stop trying to play me.
I'm just saying, because people still getting it. I work at a school.
No.
They still getting
Oh no,
it.
the numbers are rising again. They're already talking about
Yeah, I
school
know.
stuff.
That's why I double masked up.
Whether they're going to
where I
require
went.
masks and stuff back in school again.
Let me get my test.
But I'm nervous about it. But I'm nervous about this monkeypox because I don't know much about
my
it.
test right here.
I
just don't want
no
more sores. I don't want no more
My
sores.
test right there.
What did it say? Negative or positive?
Yes.
It's just
very
like
much
every year is something different now. First it was corona, now it's monkeypox. What's next? The gorilla pox. I don't know what's happening.
Well, monkeypox, the thing about it though is that monkeypox isn't a new thing.
Wow.
It's just a thing that we thought was eradicated to the point that it was so small in a subset of Africa that no one in the world would ever have to deal with.
But it's one of the shots that you have to get when you go to Africa.
And when you go to Africa, you have to get that shot. That and malaria. Yep. So it's like weird.
Okay,
that it
so
got
my
out.
question, you know how when you go every year to get your checkups and get your shots and everything like that, do you think that's one of the things that they give you, like one of the shots that they automatically give you?
No, you don't get the monkeypox shot unless you go into somewhere that has monkeypox. It's not a native thing to America. So monkeypox, the vaccine is not given to you every day.
If you go to Africa, part of your thing is you have to go to your doctor and get your malaria. I think it's malaria, monkeypox, and I think it's two other ones.
Isn't Ebola one of them? Ebola is one of them too.
It might be one of them,
yeah.
Anytime you have to go get that shot and you have to show proof that you've been tested before you enter that country.
Exactly. So it's not something that's inherent. That's something inherently to the United States. Like you don't have to get that here to live here because it's not a virus that's born here.
Right.
But it's spreading here.
Right. That's the surprising part is that it's spreading here because it shouldn't be.
Right. Well, because we never have to worry about it.
I'm with it.
And the only reason why it spreads here, and I don't want to say this because I don't have the paper in front of me, but I think I read somewhere is because of the climate right now because it's so warm.
Yep.
In the winter, it doesn't survive in the winter. That's why it's a sub-Saharan African disease because it doesn't survive anywhere else that's not hot all year round.
Yeah.
So did everywhere, you see like the girl that actually have it?
The girl, yeah.
She's in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. With the one she has around her mouth.
Yeah, that thing. That stuff looks
all
terrible.
places of Atlanta to be the first outbreak. That shit is That is suspect right
because
there.
that's very suspect. It seems like they're trying to put a period on their analogy that it's affecting gay people.
That's why when you read that, I was like,
huh? What'd you say?
She wasn't gay.
But no, what I'm saying is that they got this thing,
but she
this
slept
narrative.
with a down low brother.
That's they got this narrative that they're trying to sell that gay people are getting it more than
I'm about
anybody
to stop
else.
Sex because I'm definitely not trying to catch it.
Yeah, me either. That's why I'm back in
so
my
you
basement.
y'all gotta stop dating them guys with the man purses.
That's why I'm back in my basement.
So if they got on hoochie shorts, if they got a man purse.
Oh, the hoochie daddy shorts.
Yeah, they bringing them out hard. You got to keep an eye on them.
All right, I'll end this story with this. My last Beyonce thing, and that they saying that although she's going to be probably number one this week on the Billboard charts for the Renaissance album, they're also saying that sales are down, that she's going to fall short by 69% on the Lemonade album, which sold 650,000 copies in its first week. So that's 60% down. So that means she's only going to be selling around about.
You know what? I don't agree with that because some of the features that she's gotten are people who you don't ever hear about doing features.
I agree. I don't know about the sales portion of it, but I can tell you that a lot of it, as far as the sales is concerned, is because they put the full album on YouTube. Why buy it?
Well, nowadays it's a digital world, so there's no need for even want to buy records or anything like that.
That's what I'm saying. She's getting all her money up front, though, by her views on YouTube. Every million views, she's going to get a check.
So you mean tell me if I can hear for free on YouTube, why I'm still going to go buy it? No, I can just hear for free.
I can play YouTube on my car off my phone in the car.
There's still a population of people like. There's some people who only listen to Apple Play. They're only people that listen to Google Play.
But those are the people too that basically have iTunes accounts where they probably have iTunes music services where they don't even have to pay for it anyway.
But it still counts though. That still counts though.
Right. It still counts. But what I'm saying is that you already had the service, so you were already an automatic sale. People like me that I am a fan of Beyonce and I was planning to purchase it, but then you put it all on YouTube. I was like, what I gotta do that for?
Right.
I'll just give you the views. Maybe think about that strategy again, all over again. Maybe that might.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Naya, I'm gonna have to let you go.
Unless he's counting on getting the YouTube Premium when people can, pay for the YouTube Premium and they don't have
your YouTube Music and you get the same service as Apple Plus. I mean, so.
Right. So I don't know. Some people don't have Apple phones, or they only have Android, so I guess it's for them. But why do all that when I can do it for free on YouTube? It's pointless.
Exactly.
But you're not listening to for free because, baby, she gonna get those spins. And those views.
Of course, she's gonna get the spins. She's gonna get them views, and then I think that's what it is. You get paid for the views. So that's probably why she did it like that.
She probably already cut it.
You get more paid from your views than you do actually buying the actual album. She can get paid more for her views.
Mm-hmm. There are some music artists that you probably never heard of, but they are YouTube famous because they've only put their albums out on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Naya, I have to let you go because I have to go too.
All right, guys.
Thanks for calling, hon.
You're welcome. Great catching up with you guys.
Thank you. So that is going to be the end of the show tonight. One, because I have to go to the bathroom. Two, because I'm ready to go. And three, because I think I have to talk to Nate.
Gotta get the monkeypox treated.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back. Nate has a show this Friday at 5 p.m.
Lou's coming back.
Skyline returns next Monday at 7 p.m. And then we have a new show she was supposed to be here tonight to talk about herself. But she's not here. So Chastity, her new show, You Better Live, premieres next Thursday at 7 p.m. And I think that was it.
Baltimore Fashion Week, August 15th.
Oh yeah, Baltimore Fashion Week. August 15th.
August the 13th. for me, August 15th, come on out because I've been working very hard. I'm very fucking tired. My back hurting. My bank account is hurting. Everything. I need you to come out. Get your tickets. Go to my page, the Artist Exchange, Bash Shop Blue Jewelry, Fashion Umbrella Foundation.org, all of that shit. Get your tickets.
Definitely. All right. Good night.